When high fashion meets global pop royalty, the entire style landscape completely shifts. But what happens when a legendary tastemaker like Pharrell Williams evaluates the individual style of all 7 BTS members? It's not just about luxury labels, it's a cultural fusion that redefined modern aesthetics. Who truly captured his vision as the ultimate design muse? Whose wardrobe holds a deep architectural artistry that left him utterly stunned? Welcome to an exclusive, mind-blowing breakdown of BTS's style through the eyes of Skateboard P himself. Let's unlock the mystery. Number 7. Suga. The silent producer, hidden luxury secrets, the ultimate rebellion. When you think about the intersection of raw hip-hop culture and elite global fashion, few minds have revolutionized the space quite like Pharrell Williams. So when Pharrell looks at the 7 brilliant minds of BTS, he isn't just looking at who wears the loudest or brightest garments on a red carpet. He is looking for soul, for rhythm, and for an innate understanding of texture and cultural history. This is exactly why Min Yoongi, universally known as Suga, kicks off our list in a way that will make you rethink everything you know about celebrity style. Suga doesn't just wear clothes, he commands them through a lens of profound, quiet nonchalance that mirrors his identity as a legendary music producer. To Pharrell, who built his entire legacy on breaking the rules of what a hip-hop artist should look like, Suga represents the ultimate form of anti-fashion fashion, a style so effortlessly cool that it feels completely detached from the frantic, trend-chasing nature of the modern industry. If you watch his public appearances closely, you quickly realize that Suga's wardrobe is an extension of his sonic workspace, functional, meticulously structured, and layered with deep meaning. He is a master of the unbothered aesthetic, a stylistic philosophy where comfort meets extreme luxury without a single hint of desperation or pretension. Pharrell has always championed creators who stay absolutely true to their roots, and Suga's unwavering loyalty to a specific, dark and texturally rich palette speaks directly to that mindset. He doesn't need a giant sparkling logo to tell the world he has arrived. Instead, he relies on the structural integrity of his garments, frequently draping himself in oversized silhouettes from cult streetwear brands like Jerry Lorenzo's Fear of God and the deeply artistic, artisanal Japanese label Visvim. These aren't choices made by a stylist trying to make a pop star look trendy. These are the highly deliberate choices of a man who understands the poetry of fabrics. Think back to his legendary airport fashion moments that sent shockwaves through the fashion community. Shortly after being announced as the global brand ambassador for the iconic Italian house Valentino under their revolutionary Diva campaign, which stands for Different Values, Suga completely redefined what it means to travel in style. He showed up at Incheon International Airport wearing a head-to-toe Valentino look that was an absolute masterclass in European chic infused with raw street energy. Instead of a stiff, uncomfortable suit, he threw an exquisite tweed wool overshirt over a relaxed, everyday black hoodie and perfectly slouched baggy denim. It was a look that felt completely accidental, yet visually flawless, a signature trait that Pharrell Williams himself has mastered over his decades in the spotlight. To add that perfect touch of modern luxury, Suga casually sported the black Mini Loco crossbody bag, a sleek calfskin masterpiece that proved he knows exactly how to use high-end accessories to anchor an otherwise casual outfit. But Suga's stylistic genius doesn't stop at luxury athleisure. He possesses a deep, encyclopedic appreciation for music history that bleeds directly into his clothes. Remember his unforgettable homage to the grunge movement, where he stepped out looking like a modern-day reincarnation of Nirvana's frontman, Kurt Cobain? He wore a loose, beautifully distressed knit cardigan draped over a simple white tank top and heavily ripped denim jeans, perfectly mirroring Cobain's iconic MTV Unplugged performance. Yet in true Min Yoongi fashion, he completely flipped the script by trading standard canvas sneakers for chic leather sandals and accessorizing the entire anti-capitalist grunge silhouette with the ultimate holy grail of luxury craftsmanship, a massive, ultra-exclusive Hermes HAC Birkin bag.
This breathtaking juxtaposition of raw, rebellious street grunge with the absolute pinnacle of elite French leather craftsmanship is precisely the kind of subversive fashion pairing that Pharrell Williams used to shock the world with during his early days with NERD and Billionaire Boys Club. It shows an artist who isn't afraid to play with contradictions, blending the rough with the smooth, the underground with the high-end. Furthermore, Suga's connection to the lineage of Louis Vuitton is deeply rooted in his appreciation for the late visionary designer Virgil Abloh. Long before Pharrell took over the reins as men's creative director, Suga was actively collecting and styling archival Virgil pieces, such as the roomy Louis Vuitton steamer monogram tote bag, which he seamlessly integrated into an all-black airport ensemble, featuring a sleek leather jacket, a cozy black turtleneck, and heavy-duty Doc Martens sandals. Pharrell, who stepped into Virgil's shoes with a profound respect for his predecessor's legacy, looks at Suga's wardrobe and sees a direct cultural continuation. Suga understands the power of a utilitarian vest, a staple piece in Pharrell's own wardrobe, which Yoongi famously demonstrated by rocking a highly limited edition technical vest from the Supreme/Stone Island collaboration, easily paired with black off-white shorts and low-cut Converse. Even when examining his explosive alter ego August D, you can see how his theatrical, historical style choices, like blending traditional Korean hanbok silhouettes with modern street footwear in the Daechwita music video, instantly caught the eyes of global tastemakers. This duality is what makes him so fascinating to Pharrell, who is an expert at mixing historical references with futuristic street culture. Suga doesn't change his identity to fit the clothes, he forces the clothes to adapt to his heavy, grounded aura. Whether he is carrying a timeless Dior saddlebag or walking quietly into an NBA basketball game in a custom relaxed suit, there is an undeniable magnetic gravity to his presence that turns the simplest garments into high art. It's a deeply reflective, emotional approach to fashion, where every texture tells a story of late nights spent in the studio. He's a brilliant creative mind who intentionally strips away the unnecessary noise of bright, vibrant colors so that the viewer is forced to focus entirely on the raw silhouette and the unmistakable, authentic swagger of a true musical genius. Pharrell knows that true style cannot be bought or manufactured by a team of corporate publicists. It is born entirely from an internal fire and an uncompromising sense of self, qualities that Min Yoongi possesses in absolute abundance, making his understated, grunge-fueled luxury a quiet but massive force in the global fashion conversation that leaves fans and designers alike completely breathless, wondering what boundaries he will shatter next.
Number 6. Jin. The Royal Blueprint. Effortless clean minimalism. The worldwide handsome subversion. Moving away from the raw, underground hip-hop energy of the studio and stepping directly into the blinding cinematic lights of pure, unadulterated elegance, we arrive at a style profile that operates on a completely different frequency. When Pharrell Williams evaluates style, he isn't just looking for chaotic layers or shocking avant-garde experiments. As a master curator of visual culture, he possesses a deep foundational reverence for symmetry, proportion, and absolute structural perfection. This brings us directly to Kim Sek-jin, universally known as Jin, who claims the number 6 spot on our list by demonstrating a style philosophy that is so deceptively simple, it actually requires the highest level of artistic confidence to pull off. To understand Jin's style through Pharrell's sophisticated lens, you have to look past the surface and analyze the actual physical canvas. Jin is famously blessed with a statuesque build, featuring a striking, highly celebrated 60-centimeter shoulder width that tapers down to a remarkably lean waist, paired with flawless facial symmetry that the global media has appropriately dubbed worldwide handsome. Pharrell, who has spent decades collaborating with elite French fashion houses like Chanel and Louis Vuitton, knows exactly how rare it is for an individual's natural body geometry to elevate clothing automatically. Jin doesn't need to chase fleeting, hyper-trendy streetwear fads or drape himself in loud, confusing graphics to get noticed. Instead, his style relies entirely on the royal blueprint of classic tailoring, clean minimalism, and an immaculate understanding of fit. For years, Jin became the ultimate living embodiment of this philosophy through his legendary unspoken love affair with the iconic New York designer Thom Browne. Long before official brand ambassadorships dictated every single move a K-pop idol made, Jin was independently curating a wardrobe dominated by Thom Browne's strict, uniform-inspired aesthetic. It takes an immense amount of personal swagger to wear a shrunken gray wool suit, a crisp white Oxford shirt, and a heavy knitted cardigan featuring the signature 4-bar stripe without looking like a rigid private school student. But Jin transformed this classic corporate look into a breathtaking statement of modern aristocracy. Think back to his iconic airport appearances, where he would glide through terminal halls looking like a high-flying tech CEO or a young billionaire prince who just casually stepped off a private jet. He would carry the structured, pebble-grain leather Thom Browne briefcase, match it with a perfectly tailored gray trench coat, and instantly turn a chaotic travel terminal into a high-fashion runway show in Paris. This dedication to clean lines and structural integrity is exactly the kind of intentional styling that Pharrell Williams appreciates, as it values the heritage and craftsmanship of a garment over cheap, momentary viral attention. But the true evolution of Jin's style narrative reached an absolute global fever pitch following his highly anticipated return from military service, initiating a spectacular high-fashion era that completely redefined his place in the industry. Almost immediately, the legendary Italian fashion powerhouse Gucci recognized his unparalleled cultural gravity and announced Jin as their newest global brand ambassador. When Jin made his monumental debut at Milan Fashion Week for Gucci's menswear show, the entire digital space came to an absolute standstill. Stepping out into a sea of flashing cameras, Jin wore a beautifully draped, multi-toned, iridescent knit sweater that shifted colors under the light, seamlessly paired with perfectly tailored, high-waisted trousers that accentuated his incredible leg line. It was a visual masterpiece that brilliantly balanced the historical, eclectic romance of Gucci's heritage with a sharp, modern, and clean aesthetic, a creative transition that Pharrell Williams, as a fellow creative director steering a historic luxury house, deeply respects and understands. But the luxury takeover didn't stop there. Jin also shattered boundaries by being named the first ever global brand ambassador for the ultra-exclusive French high jewelry house Fred. Jewelry is an area where Pharrell Williams holds undisputed legendary status, famous for his multi-million-dollar custom Jacob & Co. chains and his revolutionary diamond-encrusted Tiffany & Co. sunglasses. Therefore, when Pharrell looks at how Jin styles jewelry, he sees a true master of restraint. Jin can take a bold, marine-inspired Fred Force 10 bracelet, crafted from braided gold and diamonds, wear it alongside a simple, relaxed white button-down shirt with the sleeves carelessly rolled up, and create an atmosphere of elite, old-money luxury that leaves onlookers completely mesmerized. It is a deeply emotional and reflective approach to dressing, where the jewelry doesn't wear the man, rather the man's natural charm allows the luxury item to shine with maximum brilliance. Furthermore, we cannot talk about Jin's style without discussing his historic, revolutionary subversion of gender norms through his iconic embrace of the color pink. Long before the global box office phenomenon of Barbie made pastel tones a mandatory trend for men everywhere, Jin was single-handedly dismantling toxic masculinity on the global stage by making pink his definitive signature color. Whether he was rocking a massive, oversized pastel pink hoodie at the airport, performing on stage in a vibrant magenta statement coat, or walking the red carpet in a blush-toned blazer, Jin proved that true masculine confidence is found in breaking rigid societal boundaries. Pharrell Williams, who famously shocked the traditional fashion world early in his career by wearing women's Chanel tweed jackets and carrying bright pink Hermes Birkin bags, undoubtedly views Jin as a kindred spirit in using color theory to challenge cultural expectations.
even when Jin tones it down to the absolute bare minimum, stepping out in a casual, high-end white Balenciaga t-shirt, relaxed Givenchy's straight-leg denim, and a classic luxury timepiece like his personal Rolex date in Everrose, the look remains entirely unbothered, inspiring, and completely timeless. He possesses a rare magnetic quality where the simplicity of his clothes acts as a quiet frame for his overwhelming natural star power, forcing the viewer to stop scrolling, lean in closer, and analyze how someone can look so completely flawless without even trying. Pharrell knows that while flashy trends come and go like the wind, the quiet, undeniable power of absolute classic symmetry and effortless luxury will always reign supreme, making Kim Sek-jin a permanent architectural icon in the global style landscape, who continues to leave fans and design houses absolutely breathless at every single turn.
Number 5. Jungkook. The emo punk revolution, industrial techwear mastery, the ultimate rock star rebellion. When we step down to the number 5 spot, the atmosphere completely transforms into something fiercely electric, raw, and unapologetically rebellious, because we are talking about none other than the golden Maknae himself, Jungkook. To truly understand why Jungkook commands this exact position through the elite design lens of Pharrell Williams, you have to throw out all the traditional rulebooks of cookie-cutter pop star styling and dive headfirst into the gritty, hyper-modern world of industrial techwear, cyberpunk grunge, and boundary-shattering fluid masculinity. Pharrell Williams has spent his entire legendary career as a pioneer of street culture, a man who famously merged skate aesthetics with high-end luxury during his era with Billionaire Boys Club and ice cream. So when he looks at Jungkook, he doesn't just see a global pop phenomenon, he sees the ultimate evolution of youth subculture brought to life on the world's biggest stages. Jungkook's style is a deeply emotional, visceral masterclass in how to use clothing as a protective yet highly expressive armor, characterized by heavy silhouettes, tactical utility, and an incredible ability to balance dark, intimidating streetwear with an undeniable, effortless sensuality that leaves the entire global fashion industry completely paralyzed with awe. For years, the world watched Jungkook quietly cultivate an aesthetic that fans affectionately call the all-black Matrix look, a stylistic signature that relies heavily on extreme oversized proportions, technical fabrics, and structural footwear that anchors his entire presence. Think about his legendary relationship with heavy-duty fashion houses like Balenciaga. Jungkook didn't just wear their clothes, he single-handedly made pieces like the massive, ultra-chunky Balenciaga Defender sneakers and the towering Prada Monolith combat boots look like everyday essential streetwear. Pharrell, a man who famously loves oversized silhouettes and bold footwear choices, deeply appreciates how Jungkook uses these massive structural shoes to create a striking, top-heavy visual balance that completely redefines the modern male silhouette. But the true explosive cultural reset of Jungkook's style narrative occurred when he was announced as the global brand ambassador for Calvin Klein, triggering a historic fashion era that completely dominated billboards from New York's Times Square to the streets of Seoul. In these viral campaigns, Jungkook didn't just model denim, he resurrected the raw, unpolished spirit of 90s Americana grunge and flipped it on its head for Gen Z. He stood before the cameras in classic denim-on-denim looks, wearing unbuttoned, oversized jean jackets over bare skin, paired with perfectly relaxed straight-leg jeans that highlighted his powerful athletic build, while projecting an absolute, unbothered rock star cool. This was a monumental shift that Pharrell Williams, as a creative director who thrives on transforming heritage brands, watched with absolute fascination. Jungkook proved that he could strip away all the chaotic layers of modern street styling and command global attention through the sheer magnetic power of raw, minimal styling. Furthermore, what makes Jungkook's fashion identity so profoundly compelling to an artistic purist like Pharrell is the way he treats his own body as a living, breathing canvas of self-expression. His extensive, beautifully intricate tattoo sleeve and his intentional facial piercings aren't just personal choices, they function as core, organic accessories to every single outfit he wears.
Whether he is rocking a sleeveless cult classic Raf Simons top or a distressed tie-dye hoodie from Supreme, his body art adds a layer of authentic underground edge that money simply cannot buy. Pharrell, who has always championed artists who unapologetically display their personal truths through their skin and style, recognizes Jungkook as a kindred spirit who refuses to be sanitized by the corporate expectations of the pop world. This rebellious, genre-bending energy beautifully bled into his solo musical era, especially during his earth-shattering promotions for his album Golden. For his 7 and Standing Next to You performances, Jungkook completely transitioned into a high-fashion, retro-futuristic showman, heavily channeling the timeless style aesthetics of legendary icons like Michael Jackson, but with a sharp, modern, and rugged twist. Remember his jaw-dropping wardrobes, where he would step out under the flashing stadium lights wearing custom-tailored cropped leather jackets, deep V-neck silk shirts that moved fluidly with his intense choreography, and sleek, high-waisted trousers accented with heavy silver hardware, industrial chains, and asymmetrical leather straps. This seamless fusion of classic, old-school stage showmanship with rugged modern-day biker edge is exactly the kind of stylistic juxtaposition that Pharrell Williams lives for. It shows an artist who understands the rich history of performance attire while boldly carving out a brand-new, ultra-modern lane for himself. We also have to analyze his absolute mastery of tactical utility gear, a style element that Pharrell Williams has heavily incorporated into his own Louis Vuitton collections through multi-pocket vests, camo prints, and industrial hardware. Jungkook takes this aesthetic to the absolute limit, frequently spotted in Incheon International Airport wearing massive oversized technical bomber jackets from Japanese streetwear giants like Mihara Yasuhiro or underground Korean labels, pairing them with heavy-duty cargo pants that pool perfectly over his sneakers. There is a deep emotional sense of mystery to how he dresses off-duty, often completely covering his face with an oversized black bucket hat and a mask, forcing the world to look entirely at the texture, the silhouette, and the sheer gravity of his physical presence. He has turned the simple act of walking through an airport terminal into a cinematic, dystopian fashion show that feels both incredibly futuristic and deeply rooted in skate culture history. Even when he steps into a more formal setting, such as the star-studded Calvin Klein event in Seoul, he subverts expectations by wearing a sleek, tailored black suit jacket, but pairing it with matching, oversized wide-leg trousers and his signature chunky leather boots, effortlessly proving that formal wear doesn't have to be rigid or traditional. He possesses a rare magnetic quality where the darkness and weight of his clothes act as a quiet frame for his overwhelming natural star power, forcing the viewer to stop scrolling, lean in closer, and analyze how someone can look so completely flawless, edgy, and powerful without ever looking like they are trying too hard to please the critics. Pharrell knows that true style icons aren't the ones who blindly follow the strict guidelines laid out by luxury mood boards. They're the ones who take those luxury pieces, drag them through the grid of street culture, and wear them with the fierce, undeniable confidence of a natural-born rebel, making Jungkook an absolute powerhouse in the global style lexicon, who continues to leave fans, designers, and cultural tastemakers completely spellbound, eagerly waiting to see which stylistic boundaries he will fearlessly tear down next in his unstoppable journey.
Number 4, Jimin. The fluid, gender-bending aristocrat, ethereal grace, the Dior haute couture revolution. When we ascend to the absolute tier of haute couture royalty and step into the mesmerizing realm of the number 4 spot, the style landscape undergoes a profound, almost spiritual metamorphosis as we welcome the unmatched elegance of Park Jimin. To understand why Jimin holds this exact high-ranking position through the elite, visionary eyes of Pharrell Williams, you have to completely untether yourself from conventional definitions of masculinity and immerse your senses into the world of gender-fluid avant-garde perfection, poetic movement, and high-fashion romance. Pharrell Williams has spent his entire legendary career advocating for fashion as a boundaryless art form, famously breaking boundaries himself by wearing classic Chanel women's tweed jackets, carrying bright pink Hermes Birkin bags, and designing jewelry that defies traditional categorization, which is exactly why he views Jimin not just as a global style icon, but as a living, breathing masterclass in fluid aesthetics. Jimin's style is uniquely intertwined with his profound background as an elite contemporary dancer. He doesn't just put on garments, he breathes life into them, allowing fabrics to flow, drape, and cascade around his body with an ethereal, almost dangerous grace that leaves the global fashion elite completely spellbound. Pharrell deeply understands that true style is rooted in how an individual moves through space, and Jimin possesses a rare, magnetic body geometry where every fabric, whether it's a heavy structured wool coat or a delicate sheer silk blouse, is transformed by his poetic posture and effortless elegance. This exact, unmatched stylistic gravity is what caused the historic French luxury fashion house Dior, spearheaded by the brilliant artistic director Kim Jones, to instantly lock him down as their global brand ambassador, initiating a monumental era that completely redefined modern menswear on a global scale. Think back to his legendary appearance at Paris Fashion Week, a historic moment that sent the entire internet and the streets of Paris into an absolute state of chaotic hysteria, where Jimin stepped out looking like a modern-day high-fashion prince sent from a futuristic utopia. He wore a stunning, meticulously tailored grayish monochromatic suit from Dior's menswear collection, featuring an intricately layered wraparound blazer jacket that flawlessly merged traditional tailoring with technical futuristic utility, paired with matching relaxed-fit trousers that pooled elegantly over heavy-duty, chunkier boots. This look was an absolute masterpiece of tonal styling, showcasing a level of restraint and sophisticated color theory that Pharrell Williams himself has praised throughout his career, proving that you can dominate a global fashion space using subtle, muted, earthy tones rather than relying on loud, distracting graphics. But Jimin's high-fashion conquest did not stop at haute couture tailoring. He shattered another massive glass ceiling by being named the global brand ambassador for the ultra-luxury American jewelry house Tiffany & Company, entering a creative domain where Pharrell Williams holds undisputed legendary status as a pioneer of diamond-encrusted eyewear and custom hip-hop jewelry. When Pharrell looks at how Jimin styles jewelry, he sees an absolute purist who understands the delicate balance between hard minimalism and soft luxury. In his iconic Tiffany campaigns, Jimin would stand before the lens in a sleek, perfectly fitted deep V-neck black suit jacket worn over bare skin, accessorizing the minimalism with the revolutionary Tiffany lock bracelets and the structural architectural lines of the Tiffany tea collection. He transformed heavy, precious metals into an organic extension of his own skin, showcasing a level of effortless confidence that proved high jewelry isn't just an accessory for women, but a powerful statement of modern, fluid, masculine empowerment. This emotional, highly reflective approach to dressing is what makes Jimin a perpetual muse for designers worldwide. He possesses an innate ability to blend contrasting energies, easily shifting from an intimidating, sharp rock star aura to a soft, vulnerable, and angelic aesthetic that feels deeply authentic. Even when you analyze his off-duty airport fashion, you can see this beautiful duality on full display as he effortlessly mixes high-end streetwear with classical elements, frequently seen wearing beautifully distressed oversized knit sweaters from Raf Simons, impeccably tailored long cashmere coats that sweep the floor, and always accessorizing with an array of iconic luxury bags, from the classic Dior saddlebag to archival Chanel pieces that he wears with an unbothered everyday casualness. There is a profound sense of storytelling in how he layers his clothes, often choosing fabrics with rich textures like brushed mohair, supple calfskin leather, and delicate silks that interact beautifully with the light and wind as he walks through terminal gates, turning a mundane travel routine into an inspiring cinematic fashion documentary.
Pharrell Williams, who has always championed the idea that fashion should be a visceral expression of one's inner soul and rhythm, looks at Jimin's stylistic evolution and sees an artist who refuses to be confined by the rigid, outdated boxes of societal expectations, instead using his wardrobe to tell a story of absolute freedom, artistic passion, and timeless elegance. Whether he's performing under the stadium lights in a custom-tailored shimmering blazer that catches every flash of light, or sitting front row at a fashion show next to the industry's biggest power players, Jimin commands the room with a quiet, regal confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. He has effectively blurred the lines between the masculine and the feminine, the street and the runway, creating a completely unique, ultra-sophisticated sartorial lane that is entirely his own, making Park Jimin a permanent, era-defining titan in the global style lexicon, who continues to leave fans, designers, and cultural tastemakers completely breathless, forever shifting the boundaries of what it means to be a modern style icon in the 21st century. To expand on this, consider his iconic performance looks during his solo eras, where he took his style to even more experimental level. For his solo promotions, he channeled a gritty, late-night club aesthetic that felt incredibly nostalgic, yet entirely fresh, rocking beautifully faded vintage leather jackets, distressed denim with intricate patchwork, and sheer mesh tops that perfectly showcased his artistic fluidity. Pharrell Williams, who famously built his own career on subverting expectations and blending genres, recognizes this exact same fearless creative DNA in Jimin. Jimin understands that fashion is a form of communication, a silent language that speaks before you even open your mouth, and he uses it to convey a deep sense of artistic intent. His attention to the smallest details, such as the specific way he wears asymmetrical silver earrings, the precise stack of delicate rings on his fingers, or how he slightly pushes up the sleeves of a luxury blazer to expose his wrists, demonstrates a level of styling mastery that usually takes decades to cultivate. He is not just a passive model for luxury houses, he is an active collaborator who infuses his personal narrative into every garment he touches. When you look at his choice of footwear, he often switches from the rugged stability of Dior combat boots to the sleek, elongated silhouette of classic Chelsea boots, completely altering the rhythm and vibe of his entire outfit with a single choice. This dynamic flexibility is what keeps the fashion industry on its toes, because nobody can ever predict what Jimin will do next. He can look completely dangerous and rebellious in an all-black leather ensemble one day, and then look entirely serene, pure, and angelic in a pastel, soft-draped wool sweater the next. It is this emotional elasticity, this rare ability to evoke a powerful feeling through a simple silhouette that cements his position as one of Pharrell's ultimate reference points. Pharrell knows that anyone can buy an expensive outfit, but you cannot buy the innate grace, the cultural awareness, and the poetic soul required to make that outfit historical. Park Jimin doesn't follow the trends, he is the architect of the trend, a cultural force who has elevated modern fashion into a beautiful, fluid dance of self-discovery that will inspire generations of creators to come, ensuring his legacy as an immortal fashion pioneer remains completely undisputed.
Number 3. V. The vintage cinematic soul, retro glamour, the Celine and Cartier breakthrough. When you transition into the top 3, you are no longer just looking at individuals who wear fashion. You are entering the stratosphere of human beings who completely embody art, acting as living, breathing canvas pieces that can alter the entire mood of a room just by stepping into it. This brings us directly to Kim Tae-young, universally celebrated as V, who captures the prestigious number 3 spot on our list by presenting a style philosophy that is so deeply romantic, cinematic, and profoundly nostalgic that it feels like a beautiful love letter to the golden eras of the past. To look at V's style through the incredibly sophisticated and culturally encyclopedic eyes of Pharrell Williams is to appreciate the absolute power of visual storytelling. Pharrell has spent decades as a master of reinvention, a creative genius who understands that the clothes you wear are a physical manifestation of the music inside your soul. And when he analyzes V, he sees an artist who is completely detached from the hyper-futuristic, tech-wear-obsessed modern world. Instead, V chooses to walk through life as if he is the mysterious, devastatingly handsome protagonist of a classic 1950s French New Wave cinema piece, or a timeless old Hollywood drama. He possesses a rare, intoxicating aesthetic that blends the soulful, smoky atmosphere of a late-night jazz club with the elite, uncompromising luxury of modern Parisian high fashion. For years, V built his legendary style reputation on an intense, unwavering devotion to a vintage, eclectic aesthetic that defied all the standard expectations of a modern pop star. While the rest of the industry was chasing neon colors and massive streetwear logos, V was independently scouring the world for perfectly tailored wide-leg trousers, oversized double-breasted blazers in rich, earthy tones, classic silk ascots, and intricately patterned button-down shirts that looked like they were plucked straight from an archive in Milan. This profound dedication to timeless heritage and character-driven styling is exactly why the legendary luxury fashion house Celine, under the uncompromising creative direction of the rock-chic visionary Hedi Slimane, chose V to become the definitive face of their modern identity as a Celine boy. Think back to that earth-shattering, historic moment during Paris Fashion Week in 2022 at the Palais de Tokyo, a night that permanently altered the cultural landscape and sent the global fashion industry into an absolute state of shell-shocked awe. Stepping out into a literal war zone of flashing cameras and screaming fans, V shattered the internet when he wore a breathtaking bright crimson leather jacket from Celine's menswear collection, brilliantly paired with a sheer black sequined top underneath, skin-tight black leather trousers, and a massive, dramatic statement necklace that caught every single drop of Parisian light. It was a visual masterpiece that perfectly captured the dangerous, rebellious edge of rock and roll while maintaining an elite, effortless sense of aristocratic elegance, a stylistic juxtaposition that Pharrell Williams, who has spent his career mixing raw street culture with high-end luxury, viewed as an absolute stroke of creative genius. But V's high fashion conquest did not stop at the rebellious tailoring of Celine. He went on to conquer the absolute peak of elite French luxury by being named the global brand ambassador for the legendary high jewelry house Cartier, specifically becoming the magnetic face of the iconic Panthère de Cartier campaign. Jewelry is a domain where Pharrell Williams holds undisputed legendary status, famous for pioneering the look of diamond-encrusted elite accessories. And when Pharrell observes V's relationship with jewelry, he sees a true master of subtle, dangerous elegance. V can take a fierce, sculptural gold Cartier Panther ring or a brilliant diamond timepiece, wear it alongside a simple, expertly draped chocolate brown cashmere suit, and instantly create an aura of old money sophistication that feels entirely organic. He doesn't use jewelry as a loud, aggressive scream for attention. Instead, he treats it as a quiet, essential punctuation mark to his cinematic persona. What makes V's fashion identity so incredibly fascinating to a creative purist like Pharrell Williams is the way his wardrobe is completely soundtracked by his deep personal love of vintage jazz music, frequently channeling the effortless, cool swagger of legends like Chet Baker, Miles Davis, and Sammy Davis Jr. You can see this beautiful, soulful influence bleed heavily into his legendary off-duty airport fashion, where he regularly turns the terminal gates into a private runway for timeless tailoring. V is a true master of texture and color theory, effortlessly combining rich hues of emerald green, mustard yellow, warm amber, and deep navy with luxurious fabrics like brushed corduroy, heavy wool tweeds, and flowing silks. He will throw a long, sweeping camel trench coat over a relaxed white button-down shirt, loosely tie a vintage patterned silk scarf around his neck, slide into a classic leather Gucci loafers, and carry his personal favorite Hermes Birkin bag with a casual, unbothered nonchalance that leaves onlookers completely breathless. There is an undeniable element of raw human artistry to how he dresses. He has even been spotted carrying bags that he personally painted with intricate abstract designs, proving that his clothing is never just a corporate placement, but a genuine extension of his internal creative fire. Pharrell Williams, who has always championed the idea that true style cannot be manufactured by publicists, but must be born from a fierce commitment to one's own individuality, looks at V's aesthetic and recognizes a kindred spirit who refuses to play by the rules of temporary trends. V understands that fashion is a powerful form of time travel, a silent language that allows him to bridge the gap between historical romance and modern global stardom. Whether he is performing on a stadium stage in a custom-tailored shimmering velvet suit that moves like liquid under the spotlight, or walking through the streets of Seoul in a simple beret and a beautifully aged vintage leather jacket, V commands the attention of the world through a quiet, magnetic gravity that is entirely his own. He has effectively decoupled modern men's style from the frantic cycle of fast fashion, proving that absolute elegance, flawless structural proportions, and a deep respect for artistic heritage will always be the ultimate statement of luxury, making Kim Tae-young an immortal, era-defining icon in the global style lexicon who continues to leave designers, tastemakers, and fans completely spellbound at every single turn.
Number 2. RM. The architectural mind, fine art connoisseur, the supreme lyricist's tailored intellectualism. When we cross the threshold into the ultimate tier of the style breakdown and arrive at the number 2 spot, we are no longer just discussing clothes, accessories, or runway placements. We are stepping into a profound philosophical realm where fashion becomes a direct extension of fine art, literature, and architectural genius. This brings us directly to the towering leader of BTS, Kim Namjoon, globally revered as RM, who claims this incredibly high position because his style profile resonates on a deep intellectual frequency that captured the absolute respect of Pharrell Williams. To truly understand why Pharrell views RM not merely as a stylish celebrity, but as a legitimate creative peer and structural equal, you have to look at their historic, mind-blowing crossover for the Rolling Stones' Musicians on Musicians cover story. That legendary meeting wasn't just a standard promotional photo shoot. It was an earth-shattering cultural collision between two generational polymaths who used their physical aesthetic to reflect the heady, complex thoughts inside their brilliant minds. Pharrell, who has spent decades navigating the absolute pinnacle of global street culture and haute couture, was openly fascinated by RM's grounded magnetic energy and his deeply reflective approach to life. Standing at an impressive, commanding height of over 181 centimeters with broad, athletic shoulders, RM possesses a natural physical canvas that could easily dominate any loud, avant-garde runway. Yet his personal style genius lies in his absolute masterclass of restraint, quiet luxury, and artistic minimalism. While the modern fashion industry is constantly screaming for attention with neon graphics, massive corporate logos, and fast-paced viral trends, RM chooses a wardrobe that feels completely timeless, organic, and deeply rooted in the philosophy of the things he loves most: museum curation, traditional Korean craftsmanship, and modern art movements. This unique, hyper-sophisticated aesthetic is exactly why the historic Italian luxury fashion powerhouse Bottega Veneta, under the brilliant and uncompromising creative direction of Matteo Blasi, bypassed the traditional celebrity circus and proudly announced RM as their first and only true global brand ambassador for their menswear line. When RM made his monumental debut at Milan Fashion Week for Bottega Veneta, the entire global fashion elite stood up in absolute awe because he didn't show up in a loud, eccentric costume. Instead, he stepped out under the flashing cameras wearing a flawlessly structured, double-breasted black suit with a clean, sculptural silhouette that featured zero visible branding. The look relied entirely on the mathematical perfection of the tailoring, the raw quality of the premium fabrics, and the sheer, undeniable gravity of his presence, proving a styling philosophy that Pharrell Williams himself has championed for years, that true luxury is a whisper, not a scream.
What makes RM's fashion narrative so emotionally resonant and inspiring to an artistic purist like Pharrell is the way his clothes beautifully mirror his off-duty lifestyle, a cultural phenomenon that millions of global fans passionately call namjooning. When RM travels the world to visit elite art institutions like Dia Beacon, the Chinati Foundation in Marfa, or private galleries in Seoul, his wardrobe functions as a visual dialogue with the art surrounding him. He frequently drapes himself in neutral, earthy tones, such as warm taupes, charcoal grays, deep slates, and rich olive greens that look like they were pulled directly from a minimalist canvas by the legendary Korean monochrome painter Yun Hyun-gun. He has a profound, encyclopedic appreciation for cult heritage brands that value human storytelling over mass production, often spotted wearing exquisite handcrafted pieces from Emily Adams Bode's artisanal label, Bode, which utilizes antique textiles, historical quilts, and dead stock fabrics to create garments that carry a literal soul. He seamlessly pairs these narrative-heavy clothes with rugged, ultra-premium footwear from the iconic Japanese streetwear brand Visvim, demonstrating a deep understanding of workwear history and textile engineering that completely aligns with Pharrell's own design DNA from his early days building Billionaire Boys Club. Think back to his legendary airport fashion appearances, which look less like a pop star catching a flight and more like an elite art curator casually stepping off a private jet to purchase a multi-million-dollar sculpture. RM will throw a sweeping, oversized cashmere trench coat over a perfectly relaxed linen button-down shirt, slide into clean, understated leather loafers, and anchor the entire effortlessly chic silhouette with a subtle, ultra-luxury timepiece like his personal Patek Philippe Nautilus or an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak tucked carelessly under his sleeve. There's a deep emotional sense of comfort and authenticity to how he dresses. His clothes never look like they were forced on him by a team of corporate stylists, but rather like they were carefully selected from a personal library of fabrics that tell a story of late-night lyric writing and deep intellectual contemplation. Pharrell Williams, who is currently steering the massive creative ship of Louis Vuitton menswear, looks at RM and recognizes a fellow world builder, an artist who understands that fashion is a powerful form of cultural architecture that can shape how society views identity and leadership. This mutual creative admiration is exactly why Pharrell actively sought out RM to collaborate on his highly anticipated global music project, Friends, recognizing that RM's stylistic and musical brain operates on a completely different level than the rest of the industry. RM has effectively revolutionized what it means to look like a modern global icon, completely dismantling the outdated stereotype that pop stars must always be dressed in flashy, hyper-synthetic, and uncomfortable garments to maintain their star power. Instead, he has elevated the simple acts of wearing a beautifully draped neutral sweater, a perfectly fitted pair of straight-leg raw denim, and an artisanal leather bag into the ultimate expression of modern masculine elegance, forcing the entire global fashion community to slow down, look closer, and appreciate the quiet, monumental power of absolute structural integrity and artistic truth, leaving cultural tastemakers and fans completely spellbound by his eternal intellectual style journey that will undoubtedly inspire generations of future creators to dress with deep purpose, heart, and undeniable soul.
Number 1. J-Hope. The ultimate design muse, avant-garde streetwear king, the Louis Vuitton revolution. And now, we finally stand at the absolute pinnacle of our fashion countdown, arriving at the undisputed throne where high fashion royalty and revolutionary street culture collide in a spectacular explosion of pure creative genius. To understand why Jungkook, universally known to the world as J-Hope, claims the ultimate #1 spot through the legendary eyes of Pharrell Williams, you have to realize that their connection transcends standard corporate sponsorships or basic red carpet appearances. When Pharrell Williams took over the historic reins as the men's creative director for Louis Vuitton, he wasn't just looking for famous faces to wear his collections. He was searching for a living, breathing human manifestation of his brand's new era, an individual who possessed the raw hip-hop authenticity, the fearless taste for avant-garde experimentation, and the unmistakable rhythmic swagger that Pharrell himself pioneered decades ago.
In J-Hope, Pharrell found his ultimate artistic match, a true fashion soulmate who views the entire world as an open runway and clothing as a dynamic, fluid extension of musical rhythm. J-Hope doesn't just follow fashion trends, he violently disrupts them, inventing a completely unique, hyper-expressive aesthetic that global fans and elite industry critics passionately call hopecore. This stylistic philosophy is a visceral masterclass in balancing extreme contradictions, where bright, unapologetic color palettes meet heavy industrial silhouettes, and playful, childlike accessories are flawlessly paired with multi-million-dollar haute couture tailoring. Pharrell, an icon who famously shattered the rigid boundaries of masculinity in hip-hop by introducing skater aesthetics and luxury pearls to the scene, looks at J-Hope and sees a direct reflection of his own legendary legacy. Every single time J-Hope steps out into the public eye, he creates a cultural earthquake that leaves the global fashion community completely paralyzed with awe. Think back to his historic, earth-shattering appearance at the Louis Vuitton Men's Fall-Winter Fashion Show in Paris, a legendary event that permanently altered the landscape of modern celebrity styling. Stepping out into a chaotic sea of flashing cameras and hysterical crowds, J-Hope single-handedly stole the entire global spotlight by rocking a jaw-dropping, structurally magnificent camouflage-inspired ensemble that looked like a futuristic piece of wearable military art. The outfit featured an intricately tailored zip-up technical jacket covered in a digitized, multi-toned monogram pattern, paired with matching flowing wide-leg trousers that swept the Parisian pavement with an unparalleled sense of regal confidence. He accessorized the look with bold, chunky high-top sneakers and sleek, dark, futuristic sunglasses, projecting an aura that was simultaneously incredibly dangerous, effortlessly cool, and deeply sophisticated. This wasn't just a pop star wearing a luxury brand. This was an absolute artistic statement that proved J-Hope understands the deep underlying architecture of garments better than almost anyone else alive today. What makes his fashion identity so profoundly compelling to an absolute purist like Pharrell is his complete lack of fear. J-Hope treats getting dressed as a deeply emotional, joyful act of self-discovery, refusing to be confined by societal expectations or traditional gender norms. He will casually throw a brilliantly structured women's tweed coat over a vintage hip-hop graphic tee, stack layers of intricate silver jewelry, and finish the look with an oversized bucket hat, turning what should be a chaotic visual mess into a breathtaking masterpiece of street-style harmony. His off-duty airport fashion is the stuff of actual legend, regularly turning simple terminal walkways into high-energy cinematic documentaries of modern luxury. He is a certified master of layering, effortlessly combining oversized patchwork cardigans from cult Japanese labels like Miyahara Yasuhiro with distressed, baggy raw denim, and always anchoring his presence with the most sought-after, highly exclusive luxury bags in the world, from the iconic Louis Vuitton Keepall duffels to rare archival Chanel pieces that he carries with a brilliant, unbothered nonchalance. This incredible capability to bring raw human warmth, rhythm, and genuine soul to cold, elite luxury items is exactly why Pharrell Williams treats J-Hope not as a passive model, but a true creative peer and muse. Following J-Hope's monumental return from his military service, the global fashion industry waited with absolute bated breath for his next style move, and the reunion between him and Pharrell at the highest echelons of Louis Vuitton was nothing short of a historic cultural reset. Pharrell immediately welcomed him back to the absolute forefront of the brand's global campaigns, recognizing that J-Hope's unique energy was the missing heartbeat in the world of high fashion. Whether he is performing under the blazing stadium lights in a custom shimmering metallic jumpsuit that captures every single drop of stage light, or sitting front row at Paris Fashion Week next to the most powerful CEOs and tastemakers in the world, J-Hope commands the entire room with a radiant, magnetic gravity that doesn't need to shout to be heard. He has effectively rewritten the entire rulebook of global style, proving that true fashion is not about hiding behind expensive labels, but about having the fierce, compromise-free confidence to wear your inner joy, your heritage, and your creative rhythm on your sleeve for the entire world to see. Pharrell Williams knows that while temporary trends come and go like the wind, an individual who can seamlessly bridge the gap between underground street culture and elite Parisian haute couture with absolute authenticity will remain immortal, making Jungkook the definitive, era-defining #1 style icon who continues to leave designers, cultural tastemakers, and millions of fans completely spellbound, forever shifting the boundaries of what it truly means to be a global fashion legend.
And there you have it, a definitive, mind-blowing journey through the sartorial universe of BTS, beautifully decoded through the elite visionary lens of Pharrell Williams. From Suga's quiet, grunge-infused luxury at the very beginning to J-Hope's absolute, barrier-shattering reign as the ultimate high-fashion design muse at the absolute peak, these 7 extraordinary individuals have permanently proven that true style is never just about the luxury labels you put on your body, but about the raw authenticity, creative fire, and rhythmic soul you inject into every single fabric. They didn't just enter the gated world of elite Parisian haute couture, they completely hijacked it, forcing historic fashion houses to rewrite their rigid, decades-old rulebooks to match the explosive, fluid, and fiercely rebellious energy of modern global youth culture. As Pharrell continues to redefine the entire landscape of global style as a master creator, his deep artistic infatuation and mutual respect for BTS stands as a monumental testament to their status not just as global pop royalty, but as immortal, era-defining architects of visual art who treat the entire world as their personal canvas. So, as we watch the future of fashion unfold before our very eyes, one final burning question remains to challenge us all. Which stylistic boundaries will these 7 visionary icons fearlessly tear down next? And how will their enduring sartorial legacy continue to change the way the world views identity, culture, and self-expression? The throne is undisputed, the global runway is permanently set, and the entire world remains completely spellbound, eagerly waiting for the next historic chapter of their unstoppable style revolution.